I'm going to do a couple of two-cycle carburetor cleanups today. I started on this one and decided I'm going to do video. And I got a chainsaw over here, and I got a couple more chainsaws back there. I don't know how many of them I'm going to get done today, but all of them need a little bit of attention. I got me a little camera stand and a monitor so I can kind of try to see what I'm doing. So real quick, I'm going to stick this one back together so you can see how it comes apart, and before I get started on cleaning it out. And this one is a Husqvarna, let's see, looks like 128 LD is what the model number is on this one. And it's been a pretty good trimmer for a non-professional, for just a you know, for your home and or residential, I think they call it. So I'm gonna, and it comes apart pretty easy, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it back together real quick, and then we'll take it apart on camera. Okay. Now, most of these weed eaters are going to be fairly similar. Chainsaws are a little trickier. You can stick a screwdriver or something in here and grab this filter off. You can wash that out with soap and water, and dish soap and water, and put it back. Now, this one's got a couple of little 8mm nuts inside here. You pull this off. Might have to turn this sideways to get that off of there. That's common on a lot of things. Gotta pull this back. Gotta pull this back this way, and then I gotta pull this off of there. I'd need a above view tripod to do that on camera, but I'm gonna try to. It just takes a while to pull that off, and then pull this out of that hole. Whereas we can't, just like that, it goes in that hole. Pull that out, and then underneath here, got these two fuel lines. The one on the left, on my left, as I'm looking down on it, goes to the hole on the left, or the little tube on the left, and the one on the right goes to the one on the right. So I'm going to get these off with the pliers. Alright, these fuel lines were not going to come off in one piece, so I have to replace those. So you get a little bonus on getting that job done while we're doing this video. These adjusting screws for the speed and whatnot on this, the high speed and the low speed on this, do not mess with those. That's why they got special shaped tools. I have those tools. You have to buy them special. You can't just get them at the hardware store. You got to either order them on Amazon or get them from a small engine dealer. But you want to do your best not to bother with these if you can help it. Or this where's it at, the this one here, that that's your idle speed when the choke is on. You want to try to leave those adjustments where they are if you can, and hopefully just the cleaning will be good, and then you won't have to adjust anything. So, and another thing you want to try to do is be very careful not to damage the gaskets, so that you don't have to buy gasket kits for it. Now this one here comes off pretty easy, and generally with these 2-cycle motors, where the problem is going to be is right here on this screen right here. That gets clogged up. The gasoline that lays in there when it's out of season has a tendency to break down, and it turns some of it's liquid, some of it's solid. And so there's not dirt getting in here through the filter. That doesn't happen. It's the gasoline itself that's changing its form, its composition, or however you want to word it. So we're going to clean that very carefully. I'm going to see about getting a very small pick and see if that screen will come out. And we're also going to do this on the other side. There's not a screen there, but we're going to check and see if there's any dirt or any buildup of any kind. And just take some carburetor cleaner and some, spray and go around this a little bit. I'll try to keep this in camera. I'm not going to fight with this if it doesn't want to come out of there. It does though. Okay. And you got to be very careful about this and not lose anything. I'm going to hold this up to daylight, see if I can see through it. And you know what? I can't. I cannot see through it. Hold it up to the sunlight or a bright light in the room and see if you can get daylight to go through it. If you can't, come around the back side of that with some spray. This carburetor spray here I got in my hand, and both sides really, but I'm going to take my shop air and I'm going to hold that tightly between my fingertips, fingernails, and not real close because I don't want to blow it out of my hand. I'll never find it. I'm going to blow some air through that. If this will come off without damaging it, you can use a blade like this and very carefully go underneath it and lift it very carefully. There's a pin right there, so line it up. Now I'm going to hold this up to daylight and look through it and make sure there's no holes in there, because that's your fuel pump. Now this is not a carburetor rebuild, this is just a cleanup. And underneath this screw here, we lift that screw, and that has your little needle valve in there that lets your gas in to the metering area. Normally I don't even do this much. I just clean that little screen that I showed, and that's all I do. Because this is tricky, my hands are not as nimble as they used to be. But screw that back in a little bit more so I don't lose the screw. Now I'll spray a little spray in there. It's going to come out the other side. That's okay. bit of gasket stayed on over here. Okay, I'm ready to put this back together. And it's going to be a little bit tricky with my fingers that are getting old to get all this lined up like it should be. That little dimple in there needs to hold the spring in place, so that goes down. And I don't know if I'm going to get this in here in one shot or not. It's probably going to take me several shots to get that in there, because I got to get that spring under that. So I'm going to turn the camera off while I fight with that for a while. Well, I got it back in there, and it was a fight, because I'm not young anymore. My hands never were real agile. So, but it is floating in there fairly freely and lifting the needle valve very freely. So we can go ahead and start putting that back together. Got that side done. Now I'm going to put my little screen back in here very carefully. There, I got it pushed in fairly evenly now all the way around. Yeah, I used this little pick here to get that out with a very small, sharp point. Okay, now this side here, I'm going to carefully open up again. I'm not changing the bubble on there, the pump, the primer bulb, but that comes out the top here if you're going to change that. But I'm just going to look underneath this if these gaskets will come off without damaging them. Take a look underneath that and see. I'm going to do this all the way around until I get it loose. Okay, here's the primer bulb. Came off. It only goes on one way. It's going to go on this way. So we take that off. I got this gasket off. Okay, this little real thin plastic flap on top. You put, take that off so you don't damage it. I did kind of damage this gasket a little bit, getting it off very carefully, but I'm going to put it back on like it is. I'm pretty sure we'll be okay. I just want to spray a little fluid, a little cleaner through this hole here and this one over here. And make sure that that those passages are clean. Okay, now I'm ready to put it back together. Really, this should be done with a rebuild kit. But normally I don't go this far with them, I just do the screen, but for the video I'm showing where all this stuff's at. And of course that's where you'd change your bulb. These come a bunch of different styles and sizes and whatnot, but that's how it only goes on one way. Your screw holes won't match up if you put it on wrong. So and that's just basically how you do, or how I do anyway, a cleanup on a 2-cycle. And just about all your 2-cycle carburetors are going to be, on these small motors, are going to be about the same. Now, I got a fishing boat with 2-cycle engine, outboard motor on it. Of course, it's a bigger motor. Carburetors on that are about like they would be on a lawnmower on a 4-cycle. I guess we'll call this a carburetor clean. We'll do a different video on changing these fuel lines that I broke. Alright, thanks for watching. Now I did not fine-tune this carburetor because I haven't started it up since I cleaned it just now. So see what happens. Give it some choke. It is a warm day. It's the beginning of spring right now. We're still in the early part of April, but we're having an unusually warm day today. It's like it's going to be around 80 today, I think. So anyway, going ahead and it should be primed. Give it some choke. Let's see what it does here. Of course, it's not warmed up yet, so I can't take the choke completely off and expect it to run good. It could probably still use a little fine tuning on the carburetor. That'd be a different video. Well, I think what I forgot to say in the beginning of the video, I don't remember if I said it or not, so I might be repeating this, but it took quite a few pulls to get this thing to run at all, and then it would only stay running on half choke once it finally started up. You start pushing the choke off and it started cutting out and it would quit. So I kind of had a suspicion that that little screen was clogged up, and I'm pretty sure that's all it was. And well, alright, thanks for watching.